You know what sound that is, folks? That's the Noon Whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and we got a hot stove here today. We got the Brady Bunch tiles going. We got Mr. John Handel, Mr. Billy Lauderdale, Mr. Mason Stebnitz, and Mr. Sam Stebnitz. Why don't you guys take a quick, where you at now? What are you up to? And we'll move right through all of you.
Sam?
All right, I'll go. I'm Sam Stebnitz. I'm the brand manager at Stebnitz Builders. I graduated from Elkhorn in 2018.
UW-Madison grad?
UW-Madison grad, yeah.
I'm Billy Lauderdale. I'm a client advisor at Forum Wealth Advisors. It's a Lake Geneva company, but I work in the Middleton office with Christine. She took me under her wing and taught me a lot about financial advising, so I'm off to a great start with my career. I graduated from Elkhorn in 2019 and graduated from UW in the winter of 2022 with a degree in personal finance. So it's been a good start.
And I'm Mason Stebnitz. I'm a Elkhorn 2020 grad. I'm a current senior at UW-Madison, studying political science and international affairs.
Thank you. Guys. 1997 UW Platteville grad. Oh no, sorry. Go Pioneers. Bo was there.
Let's go through our high school graduate years for you, John.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
All right, let's kick off the March Madness. It's the madness. Let's kick it off with these good-looking, wise men. John, what do you got? How are you going to kick us off? How do you want to start us today?
John Handel, go ahead. You pose the first one, or do you want me to pose the first one?
You go ahead. You take. We can go wherever. Right. I don't know if you guys were planning on talking about the mini hoop league, and is that thing dead or is that still?
Oh, good question.
Have some potential again.
We've played some games, but there have been no games in, well, it's been a while now. We played a few last summer, but that was pretty much the end of it. Last summer we played a few.
Billy, who's your mini hoop league of all time? Top 5.
Ooh,
well, Kyle's an easy one.
Number 1. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
gosh, you don't want to. Well, we have the Hall of Fame. So
Eric Van Dyke is up there.
Yep, he's got to be longevity. Just
Buelow, is Buelow on the list at all or no?
He's like he's probably six man on the list. You got to put him up there. He led a bunch of good teams. Billy was a great mini hoop league player. Two of the only people to ever be kicked out of the league were Mason Stebnitz for being too good. So that was an impressive run he had. And Jordan Johnson, he was also not allowed to play once he got pretty good and older. I think that was a smart decision for him to stop playing driveway basketball with us.
Have you guys ever considered a 50 and over mini hoop league?
Well, I'd like to shout out Nate Lockhart and Rolando Sanchez for coming to play with us once. They had
the All-Star game?
Yeah, exactly. They had the old guy league that they came in and played with us. So that was a good time.
Mason, what was your longevity before you got kicked out? How long were you in?
A week or so, right?
Well, so I played the first year and won a championship with Sam, and then the second year I was just putting up some gaudy Wilt Chamberlain type numbers, and they decided that it was best that I retire. So I've come back for some in-season tournament type stuff, but I've not played in the playoffs since the first year.
I think I'm one of the few players with a winning record against Mason.
Okay.
That is true.
All right, let's jump right into it. March Madness is upon us. Here we go. So let's talk about Wisconsin college hoops. UWM's about to go to the final in their league. They just made it last night. The Badgers, we know they've won 3 of their last 12. Marquette, they're a little bit beat up. Who do you guys like in the tournament? What do you think? State of hoops in college in Wisconsin. Handel, start us off. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there are about 8 teams that can win it. I don't think that Marquette is one of them. I think that people, who are big Marquette fans like Sam Stebnitz, want to find reasons to think Shaka can win it, but I don't think they're one of the 8 best teams now. So I would say it'll be one of these teams: Arizona, UConn, Creighton, Duke, Houston, Kentucky, Purdue, or Tennessee. Those are the best 8 teams.
Yeah.
Is
Gonna be one of those
Sweet
teams.
16?
It's going to be one. Can Marquette get to the Sweet 16?
Yeah.
If Kolek is not hurt, yeah. But otherwise, I would say no. And you guys probably saw that stuff. Kansas's 2 best guys aren't playing this weekend in the Big 12 tournament. So, and I don't think they're that good, anyways. I think a lot of people think it's UConn and Houston above, and maybe Purdue above everybody else. But I do think there's upsets, obviously, in the tournament, but there's not as many when you get to that really high level. But there'll be some surprises, like there always is. And
Mason,
everybody, you had said pick the Final Four. I think we should try to figure out, who some upset picks are, like the 7-12 games. Those are the ones everybody wants to hear about.
what Mason, or Billy, what seed do you think Marquette or UW's going to get?
I got Marquette as a 2 and Wisconsin as a 6. But Billy, what do you think?
I'm thinking a little lower on both. I'm thinking Marquette's a 3-4. I think the injuries hurt, but they were really good in last year's Big East tournament, so that could be a huge plus. Badgers, I'm a recency guy. I think how you play in February and January is a big deal come March. So I think they should be an 8-9, maybe lower, but I think they're going to get a 7 just based on what they did in the preseason.
Is Gardo's seat hot?
I think so. I absolutely think so. I think the intensity around the program has definitely taken a dive. I think the body language of players is really irritating as a fan. They just don't inspire me much watching them. And especially the way a couple times this year they've been blown out of games and they haven't even shown up to the gym. Think Rutgers, think Providence, and these aren't even good teams. They lost at Michigan. Arizona beat us by 50. It's just not what Wisconsin basketball should be, and their defensive efficiency is below top 50 in the country. I think that's the first time in my life they've been that low. So.
Does AJ Storr stay another year, Sam? What do you think?
I don't think so. And this is an old man take that I've got, but I just think AJ Storr, there might be some Ewing theory thing there, addition by subtraction. When he leaves the program, I think things start to flow a little bit better.
Wow.
There are some times when I'm watching the games where he takes some questionable shots because I think he is by far the best player on the team, but I think the ball gets stuck there. Offensively, yeah. I think the ball gets stuck there sometimes, and if they're moving the ball better, it could open some things up because we've looked a little stagnant as we have in the past. But
John,
so if you guys were to hypothesize what happened since January, what would you say?
I think Big Ten teams know us, and we're very predictable. And when you have one guy that can really get his own bucket, and the rest of the guys are kind of playing offense, and all the Big Ten teams know our offense. They know what we do, and we just have a lot of really unstellar offensive players. Not a lot of guys that are making their own shot. And I think Connor Sejan should be playing more. I think if you're not going to be playing defense anyways, like you're outside the top 50 in the country defensively, might as well get a shooter out there.
So Mason, you started your academic career at Marquette, correct?
Yeah.
Do you still have some gear in the closet, and are you rooting for them going into the tournament? We know Sam's not, so.
Yeah, I still got some gear. I'm rooting for them. I think we'll talk about this later, I guess, but I have them in my Final Four, kind of half as a fan, but also just because I like the way that they play defense, and I like Shaka Smart and his defense. And
well, let's hear your Final Four right now. Let's hear them.
Oh, all right. I got UConn and Marquette, so 2 Big East teams, and then I have Duke because I just like the Kyle Filipowski redemption story. And then I got Purdue. I think that they pull a Virginia and go to the finals the year after losing to a 16 seed. So
how many Big Ten teams are going to get in the tournament, you think?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think 6 is safe, but I'll go 7 to include Iowa. I like them in the Big Ten tournament because they're not on Purdue's side. So I think that they could realistically make it to the finals and then maybe earn like one of the last bids. So I got 6 or 7, I'd say.
See, I'm kind of against you there. I think Ohio State, they play Iowa later this week in the Big Ten tournament. I think they're red hot with the coaching change. I think they could be dangerous even as a super in the big tournament.
Huge game for both teams, really.
Yeah.
One guy from Ohio State's trying to keep his job or get the job, I guess.
Yeah, earn the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of talented players too. Ohio State's been really fun to watch, and it was crazy how they were underperforming the whole year before they fired, their coach. I think that's an impressive turnaround.
I think Wisconsin's lucky they waited till after the Badger game to fire him.
All right, hey, let's stay in the Big Ten. So one of the hottest stories in the country, and obviously in the Big Ten, is Caitlin Clark. She's had quite the impact on the women's game. Let's think about what is another athlete who has had an impact like her on their respective sport. What are your thoughts? John, you start us off.
Handle or me?
Hey, sure.
Go ahead, John.
I don't know. I think I need to think on that a little bit. I think
I'll send you the questions earlier next time.
No, but I mean, that's one of those.
Nobody's had a bigger impact on her. Nobody. Look at just the sheer numbers of it. And she doesn't take too many nights off where she's played bad. She's the real deal. She's been
incredible.
Every place she goes, it's a sellout. Nobody goes to the games in Madison. And I mean, nobody goes. They sold that out. That's her impact.
I think one of the cool things that with the women's game that they did with NBA All-Star Weekend was bring Sabrina Ionescu in to shoot against Steph Curry. And I think that just showed how real that game is, and that it's not, this isn't just some, everybody's building it up to be the same level of play, because it's different. It's a different style. But to have somebody come in and put up crazy numbers in a 3-point contest against the best shooter of all time and, get really close. She had a lot of pressure on her to go in and prove, to the doubters or anybody else that she belonged to be there or deserved to be there. And I think she did. She shot the same as Dame Lillard when he won it.
I think
actual 3-point contest.
I agree. And you know what? I think when you look at her impact, she's not just a shooter. She's a shooter because she's a passer. And she's a shooter.
She leads the country in scoring and assists.
Right. And she makes other people better. She distributes the ball. She can take it to the hoop. She's just not a shooter. And I think that's what makes her game so good.
And I think the other thing with Caitlin is that she appears relatable to a lot of girls. It's not like a Brittany Griner where she's 6'8", or it's a lot like Steph Curry is in men's basketball. He looks like an ordinary person, but he's just lighting up the game. That's how Caitlin Clark is. I think that's played a big role in a lot of females.
You guys mentioned the style of the game. Here's a question I have, and this is, I'm going to quote Sam Stebnitz. This is an old guy's perspective. Is the women's game, the style, better than the men's? Do you enjoy watching it more? Personally, I do. I think I like the fact that, they got to work for shots. It's not just clear out a side, two people on one side. Everybody's running the same thing. You got a lot of screeners. You got a little more transition, getting in action. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, the fundamentals and the skills are incredible, especially in the difference between women's college basketball and men's college basketball. Men's college basketball has actually gotten really sloppy, and a lot of it's from, club ball, different types of things, guys just trying to go one-on-one with guys. Women's basketball has gotten really clean in the last couple of years, especially with these stars like Caitlin Clark, like the LSU girls, like the South Carolina girls. It's been really impressive.
I still you see a lot of backs to the basket basketball with women's. The post up, feed it to the middle.
A ton of good shooters too.
Yeah, really good shooters. Mason, what do you think the impact of NIL has had on both the men's and women's game, and where do you see it going? Like, when does, at some point, everybody's complaining about it. What does it look like? I mean, what do you think? Has it helped the game, ruined the game? What are your thoughts, and where does it end?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that the athletes are getting that compensation now. I think that was always like the first step, and now, we've kind of seen it turn into a little bit of the Wild West with just so many transfers and so many people just really chasing money. And I think like in the future, the only thing that I really think about is just college football, maybe getting like some sort of players union, or I know that's been brought up by Coach Saban because they're just so much different than a lot of the other sports. I think like NIL can work in some of the smaller sports, but then in football where there's so much money and it's so valuable, like I just don't know how you would regulate that. So I think that it's becoming closer and closer to like the pros in NFL, and I think they'll eventually form some sort of union. So that's where I see it. But
Are we creating a world of have and have nots as far as schools with the transfer portal and NIL money?
I don't agree. I don't think that necessarily. I think if you go back and if you look back, there was always teams and programs that were paying their players. I mean, and it's not, whether it's been brought to light or not, it was happening. And you look at the Blue Bloods and the advantage they have in recruiting and what they had before. Now at least you got like Illinois who can offer an NIL deal to a player and maybe lure them away. Maybe it's not like the big names that are getting the most money, but it's still players that you can bring in and help your team. I think the Blue Bloods they were always gonna have an advantage in, bringing in the best of the best because of the name and the ability to market their players. But at this point now, it's just helping the athletes.
Billy, Mason, any thought on that?
Yeah, I love NIL because it provides so much more access to players. Like when I was younger, I had Wisconsin football tickets and they were at their best. And it was just so hard to get access to players and get those pictures. And now they're doing appearances at the local car dealership or different things like that. They're a lot more visible in the community. And I think that's cool for kids because that provides a lot more role models.
So what do you guys? So what are you most excited about this NCAA tournament? And then like who are some of your sleeper? Who do you like? I'm looking for Loyola to make an appearance again. I don't know. They're playing pretty well. Got to win. What do you think? Who do you guys like? Who's your sleeper? And what are you most excited about the tournament? I'm excited about. I think it's up for grabs. I think everybody's predicted Final Fours are going to look completely different. What are your guys' thoughts?
I like that. It's funny because every year it seems like, we have these ideas of people that are going to make a run. And sometimes when we say it's the most wide open, that's when the favorites are going to dominate and they just come in and they, that's my prediction is that I'm going to go chalk this year. And my Final Four, I've got Purdue, UConn, Arizona, and UNC. There's not really any sleeper in there other than, maybe a lower ranked UNC. But
Billy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think what I like to do in my brackets is find the most talented teams because a lot of times those teams can be forgotten throughout the year. Like think a couple of years ago, North Carolina is a 9 seed, but they're still one of the best teams in the country. They still have the best players in the country. They make it all the way to national championship games. So this year, I'm looking at Florida Atlantic. They had a rocky regular season, but they still have the same guys they went to the Final Four with a year ago. So they're still loaded. I'm looking at Gonzaga. They're on a roll right now. They fell off everyone's radar early in the season when they lost a bunch of games, but they haven't lost in about 2 months now. And they made the Elite Eight last year. They have a point guard from Creighton that was in the Elite Eight last year. I think they're a really good squad. And then the teams down south in the SEC, that conference was loaded this year. So you can find a sleeper in that conference like Florida.
Mason, who's your sleeper? You already gave us your Final Four. Who's your sleeper?
yeah, it pretty much every year my sleeper is Michigan State as long as Tom Izzo's coaching there. So I really struggle to not have them in the Sweet 16 if he's going to be their coach. And I think he's getting ready. I think he saw Coach K and Roy Williams retire, and I think he's getting close to that. And I know he wants one more run. So yeah, I will have them at least in the Sweet 16. I know that no matter who they play.
If you guys have not seen on ESPN the conversation with Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski speaking to the North Carolina Coaches Association, you have to try and find it. It's been on ESPN. It's incredible. It's an hour of just two greats talking about basketball, coaching, kids, college athletes, the state of NIL. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I'll soak up all the Roy Williams content I can. The other guy, I don't know, but
yeah, if you're a
That's
Badger
old people
fan,
talk, Billy. That's old people talk.
Yeah, that's probably a tough pill to swallow because Coach Ryan couldn't figure out how to guard a ball screen. So,
hey, I want to rewind a little bit, talking back to Caitlin Clark, and I was reading some stuff, and she makes in the neighborhood of 3.5 mil in NIL money. Going to the WNBA her first year, she could make a whopping $80,000 a year salary from that, and obviously she'll have endorsements. What are your thoughts on that?
And that's another piece where I bring up how she's very relatable. She plays for Iowa, and Iowa doesn't get these stars that often, so it props up that NIL value. So now when she goes to the WNBA, I feel like she's just going to be another star. And I could see that, like, obviously she's not just going to make 80,000. She's going to make deals on deals. But I feel like that some of that stardom can fall down a little bit because she's competing with girls like that girl from Oregon that was in a 3-point contest with Steph. And she's competing with all these stars. Right now, she is the absolute star of the show in college basketball.
Should she have stayed for her last year of eligibility? She had one more year left.
I think she's done about all she can do in college basketball. And I think an athlete like that is looking for the next mission. And you can see the game is just so slow for her right now. She probably wants that next level of competition. She's a competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think risking it, obviously injuries are a thing, and the sooner you can get onto the next level without having anything, drastic happen, I think that's important too. You don't want to risk anything. Like Billy said, she's done quite a bit for the program at Iowa and the women's game in general. So she's made her mark.
All right, we're getting about the 22-minute mark here. John Handel, any thoughts? Oh, yeah, you stepped off. Okay.
John stepped off.
Yeah, what happened? Big crisis in the athletic department. All right, before we close, I'm going to go around a little quick speed round here. Did everybody here take AP Econ with Handel? Anybody? Okay,
yes.
Real quick, what was your AP score? Go, Sam Stebnitz.
I got 4s on both micro and macro. So
Billy.
I got my college credit.
4. Mason, here we go.
I got a 3 on micro and a 4 on macro.
All right.
I'll be honest.
Look at you guys.
Oh,
You guys are
good.
That's awesome. Okay. Adam Andre chiming in, loving this convo. It's nice to see board members stepping in. We're always looking for the comments. We haven't heard from our fellow Rotarian, John Henderson, in a while. Hopefully he'll jump on. But thank you, Mr. Andre, for stepping on. Okay. Best athletic moment of your career. Sam, go.
Yeah, I didn't have a very extensive athletic career.
Could be coaching too.
Could be
Best moment. Oh yeah, that's fun. Anytime I got to lead the freshman B team into battle on a Saturday morning, that was always a good time.
Billy. Billy.
I mean, mine's the state run, obviously, but I wish Connor Handel was on here because we had this tournament back in 8th grade baseball. I caught this blooper and threw a guy out at home to win the game. He blocked the plate. He was the catcher. He blocked the plate, made the tag. Awesome moment. Wish he was on.
I thought you were going to say, I remember a shot towards the end of the game. You take it, drive the middle on the state run, right?
Yeah.
And make the shot in the lane.
Right. That was over 2 Division I players, too. That was over Jaden Zachary.
Right.
He's still playing at BC, and UWG. Jack Rose has played at UWGB for a little bit.
That was in Janesville. You're
a Ranger now.
Was that one? No.
That one was in Burlington.
Okay, that's right.
All right, Mason, greatest moment.
I was gonna say the state run 2. I got on the court last about 2 minutes and had an assist to Mason Bulow for a 3. So that was probably the coolest moment for me. But yeah.
All right, Billy, who do you think had more assists, you or Mason?
Mason on the kickouts.
Mason.
I was the one shooting it. Mason's kicking it out. He's getting the assist.
All right, last question. A little generation question here. Who's the NBA GOAT? Go.
It's got to be LeBron.
Ooh.
He's just yeah. I'm a LeBron guy.
All right.
Billy?
I'm a Jordan guy. I'm also a Steph guy.
All right.
I
Mason?
like the impact they both made.
Yeah, I'd go Jordan too. 6-0. Like the Netflix documentary really sealed it for me, I think. So.
I don't even have LeBron in my top 5, Sam.
Oh,
I know you don't. We disagree on a lot of basketball stuff, Chris, and it always is fun when I get to, send out, especially this year when the Badgers beat Marquette. I got to send off the text asking if Shaka was on the hot seat, and well, it was a fair question.
Sam,
you can't lose.
But you've perfected the art of listening, so that's all that matters.
Sam, I will say that game. I don't even know if the cadaver was cold yet, and you sent that text. That was a quick.
I think the final buzzer sounded, and I was like, "Oh, I know who I get to text now."
Yeah.
Every day, it's hey, is Guard on the hot seat? I don't know. Yeah. No, it's Shaka is, I think.
I agree with you, Adam Andre. Not even.
I agree with you too, Adam. Maybe that's a generational thing.
Hey, So, all right. Well, hey, we're proud of all you guys. Thanks for joining us. We would love to kick off March Madness every year with you guys on. We can bring more on. Hopefully, we understand. Coach Handel's had some stamina issues. But by the way, tune in next week. Guess who's going to be on next Tuesday? The first sports jam on the Noon Whistle since they were ended on 96.1. First one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good platform to get them out there again.
Yeah, get them out there.
Right.
We'll have Cools, Brownie, and we'll have Coach Handel, Coach Stelz, and Pencil. I don't know if they're high-tech guys, but we might have Pencil's picks. I don't know. We'll see what we can do.
Well, I don't know. That wasn't a technology thing. It was a language thing we were worried about, wasn't it?
that might have been.
I think if you're going to bring back Sports Jam, I think, and this is a shout out to Ryan Marks. He's doing great things with the Cleveland Browns. But he was also a member of Sports Jam for a little bit when he was doing his sports marketing internships. So he might be a guy you have to reach out to.
I think Ryan deserves his own show, though. Like, he'd be fun to talk to about his travels.
Definitely. He's doing some great things right now, and I think he's loving it. So shout out Ryan Marks.
It is a shout out. All right. Any shout outs or thank yous, Billy? Anything you want to shout out or thank you? You're on the #1 podcast in Walworth County.
No, I just appreciate the invite, guys. I look forward to being back next year.
All right. Mason?
Shout out to girls gymnastics for winning state.
That
was a good one. And also girls basketball going to sectional semis. That was really impressive. So
really impressive. All right. Well, congratulations. We're proud of you guys. Thanks for being on here. John, anything else you want to close us out with?
I'm just closing out with appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking time. It's always good talking to you, seeing where you're at now, and take care.
And on that note, we all got to go back to work.
Course?
Mason's got another workout, so. See you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.